Hello, I'm Dr. Janice Page. I'm with the Strategic Public Relations Program with George Washington University. And today I'm happy to introduce you to Scott Paul, who is presently the Director of Natural Resource Sustainability at Taylor. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Janice. It's an honor to be here.
Well, that's great. Now, students, we've read Scott's full bio on our website. So let me briefly just review that he has worked for 14 years with the Forest Campaign with Greenpeace and has been organized and responsible for some of the largest forest advocacy campaigns. So I think we should start talking about that. What are the campaign strategies that you've used?
Thank you. At Greenpeace, looking back at my 14-year tenure, I think the most effective strategy we used is what was once called market campaign, where someone had the incredible insight to, instead of targeting a logging company, we would do research and identify the corporate customers of that logging company. If an environmental organization criticizes a logging company, that's a bit of a yawner in terms of public reaction. But if suddenly an environmental organization is accusing a phone book company or a do-it-yourself store of destroying the rainforest or the boreal forest or the temperate forest, that's suddenly more intriguing. With this very simple discovery in the 1990s, it really launched several decades of a style of advocacy where tremendous attention was paid to researching the customers of who we identified as the most irresponsible logging companies. Today it's fisheries. You trace that product to the end consumer, to companies who have a brand equity at stake, a public image to protect, and you engage in a dialogue with these companies. Hopefully a dialogue is sufficient to bring about change, apply pressure, but commonly you're told to go away, we're not interested. And then we would make a strategic choice whether or not to target the purchaser of the product in question, as opposed to a nameless, faceless logging company.
Okay, I'm so glad that you're willing to speak with us today, because that is something that's really good inside information, how your strategies really tackle that problem. Let's talk a little bit about trends in sustainability. It's a big question, but what trends do you see today?
Well, I guess I'll just look back over my career. In the 90s, for about a decade, it was certification and the concept of independent third-party verification of your activities. And for me, it was forest products certification, and something called the Forest Stewardship Council was born at this time. Then in about 2000, the concept of illegality really emerged globally, and the fact that a lot of forest products, and it could be fisheries, it could be anything, but products made illegally in other countries were being imported into the United States, the European Union. And for a decade, this was the major thematic discussion at the United Nations or the G7 or within the environmental community. We saw the passing of the amendment of the Lacey Act in the United States. Europeans, Australians, and Japanese passed legislation. More recently, the concept of reforestation and restoration has really emerged. It's always been a very under-respected, important issue, but now it's really catching steam, people realizing the need to grow stuff back. And finally, I'll just add the issue of transparency across the board, corporate transparency in the activities and purchases that we use as corporations. Transparency in government is also a very rapidly emerging concept within the broader corporate social responsibility space.
Well, thank you. Now, for my last question, specifically about Taylor Guitars. And we read Taylor Guitars about their sustainable leadership and its recognition by the U.S. State Department in 2014 with an ACE Award for its work in Cameroon. 4 years later now, can you tell us what other, outside of Cameroon, what other sustainable activities is Taylor Guitars involved in? And perhaps beyond that, in the sustainability space in general, what is Taylor Guitars involved in?
Yeah, it's a space that we're taking very seriously, in part because of one of the co-founders, Bob Taylor. I sometimes tease him; he's in legacy mode, and an increasing amount of his time is being spent looking at sustainability. Briefly in Cameroon, since we won the ACE Award, we're in partnership with UCLA and the Congo Basin Initiative, Congo Basin Institute, which is conducting basic scientific research into rainforest ecology. And we have a goal to plant 15,000 ebony trees over the next couple of years. In Hawaii, koa is a different species that is very important to us. And we've been working on restoration in koa, basically using the proceeds from dead and dying koa trees to build guitars and to plant new koa. We've recently purchased 580 acres, I believe, on the big island of Rolling Cowfield, and we have a goal to reforest that entire landmass in native koa and ohia forest, and eventually it will not only be closed canopy, but it will also be sourcing long after I'm dead. In 60, 70, 80 years, Taylor Guitars is sourcing all its koa, hopefully, off of this land. Briefly, another thing we're looking at very seriously is the demise of urban tree cover. The U.S. Forest Service has been doing a lot of groundbreaking work talking about the slow loss of urban tree cover. And this has a direct impact, very well established, on everything from increased electricity consumption while people are running air conditioners in the summer, mental health. And we're trying to work with the Forest Service and others to see if we can help stimulate a better awareness about tree cover in our metropolitan areas, and see if we can kickstart a program that will expand tree cover in urban areas.
Mm-hmm. I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because this course is the first course that our students take in our program. And as they go through, they're tasked with finding opportunities, recognizing potential hypothetical clients to practice strategizing and coming up with communications campaigns. And I'm so glad that you talked about this initiative in the United States, and that might be something very well that individuals in different parts of the country or world might take up on. So I can't thank you enough for joining us today. And we really appreciate all of the knowledge that you've shared with us. And we're going to be discussing this, and I'll get back to you with maybe some great communication ideas.
Great. It's my pleasure, and I'm here if you or any of your students want to be in touch with us.
Okay, good. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Janice.